If it's Monday night, oh yes, it is ridiculously raw. Don't pay any attention to what it says at the bottom of your screen there. Just committed a little botcheroo there, but I've already updated it in my settings. So it may say strictly sports, but it's really ridiculously raw. So I do apologize for that. I guess I'm just so excited about how this show turned out tonight. But then again, it was a banner night all around when it comes to our crew here, and Michael Bullock can attest to that because he's one very excited Boston Celtics fan after what they did tonight. So don't worry, Bullock, you'll get your chance to glow later in the week. But for right now, it's ridiculously raw, and what a night it was. I mean, last week we had that meh show from London, England, which was a taped show, which we all knew was not going to be anything. But tonight they more than made up for it. This was a much better show, and quite frankly, I cannot wait to get into everything that went down on this show. I mean, I think we only had like what 1-2 cutouts on this show tonight. So yeah, so this was definitely a banner show and a banner night all around. So with all that being said, we're gonna dive on in to this edition of Ridiculously Raw as we are back live tonight from the Newark, New Jersey, the Prudential Center in Newark, New Jersey, the home of the NHL's New Jersey Devils. The ridiculously over gentleman, Anthony Florio here, along with my elite panel, as always, good old MF Michael Fletcher, your host of the Cerebral Smack Talk. Of course, the phenom Michael Bullock, my partner in crime on the Raw and SmackDown chats. And I'm pleased to announce back after a couple of weeks hiatus, we got our first lady back, the Twisted Angel, Dee Woodson. All is well with the Woodson family again, and I can always say praise God, for God is good all the time on that. So with all that being said, let's dive on into this edition of Ridiculously Raw here tonight, and what a way to start it off. We had the general manager, Kurt Angle. He came out and basically told us the story. But then again, for those of us who might have read the dirt sheets earlier today, I'm afraid I've got some bad news. The monster among men, Braun Strowman, his injury turned out worse than expected. Shattered elbow. He's out for in excess of 6 months. And that is horrible news for Monday Night Raw because he was the best thing going on Raw for the last few months. And, you know, it's going to be, he's going to be sorely missed. And he was also the next in line. He was apparently going to be the one who was going to challenge Brock Lesnar at that god-awful named pay-per-view Great Balls of Fire. I mean, I still can't get over why they named it that, but
actually, I heard he was supposed to be the one that was supposed to challenge Lesnar at SummerSlam.
Well, SummerSlam as well, but well, you can scratch that off the list, MF, because he's out for in excess of 6 months. So he addressed that. But then Kurt Angle made a blockbuster announcement, and this was nothing that we knew about. A surprise announcement, and what a surprise announcement we have. We've got our main event for Extreme Rules on June the 4th in Baltimore, Maryland, the next Raw exclusive pay-per-view. Kurt Angle announces that the main event of Extreme Rules is going to be a fatal 5-way match, and the winner of that match will challenge Brock Lesnar for the Universal Championship, and that will most likely go down at the Great Balls of Fire pay-per-view on July 9th in Dallas, Texas. So participants are as follows. Seth Rollins. Yep, we got Seth Rollins, Samoa Joe, Finn Balor, Bray Wyatt, and Roman Reigns. The 5-way should be dramatic if the finish doesn't get out ahead of time. This live crowd reacted most to the idea of Balor facing Lesnar, which seems like a likely direction, if only because they want to save Reigns facing Lesnar for a major event, most likely WrestleMania 34. And then all 5 men in that 5-way would show up. All hell breaks loose. And what else is there to say? This was the segment of the night. Very good opening segment that showcased Finn Balor in a major way. One can only assume that this will be a spotlight night for Balor, given that he has a WWE 24 documentary airing on the network right now as we speak. The brief brawl with Joe and Rollins was more effective than their 15-minute match was last week in terms of establishing the intensity of their feud. Reigns came off a little heelish, but I view it as WWE simply tweaking his character based on the circumstances. He may play it slightly more heelish when he's out there with Balor, but that doesn't mean he won't be a babyface if he's out there with Wyatt or another heel in a future segment. But a lot was accomplished in that segment. You set up what should be a hella fun main event at Extreme Rules, so good for Kurt Angle. And Kurt Angle continuing to prove why he is best for business as the general manager of Raw. Well done. And then you have all 5 men in the 5-way. They show up. Storyline progression all around. So Monday Night Raw did something that SmackDown Live is best known for. Storyline progression. So very well done. So a win-win all around. So a great way to start off what I thought was a very good edition of Monday Night Raw and a great tone setter, no pun intended. So segment of the night, well done. So let me bring in good old MF Michael Fletcher. Come on in, MF. Your thoughts on this segment as a whole, and maybe and if you'd like to share an early thought on what should be a hella fun 5-way at Extreme Rules.
I mean, it's going to be a great 5-way, no doubt about it. When you got the likes of Finn Balor, you got Seth Rollins, Samoa Joe, Bray Wyatt, and Roman Reigns. I mean, yeah, you definitely got a very interesting dynamic situation and everything coming together. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. No doubt about it. Kurt Angle has done a great job as Raw general manager so far. I think a lot of people can admit he's probably been far better than Mick Foley up to this point. We're going to have to see what SmackDown turn does. You know, that's a big announcement. It definitely was something that needed to be done, even though there was the heartbreak by WWE and especially Monday Night Raw to hear the news that Braun Strowman's out for 6 months, because like we said, I heard a rumor that Braun was supposed to fight Brock Lesnar at SummerSlam in the Barclays this year for the Universal Championship. Now that unfortunately does go out the window, so we don't have the match now, which means we don't know what it's going to look like. And so it's kind of a situation now that, you know, they have to really move on the fly. They have to learn on the fly. And that's all that we can say about it. So for me, it looks very promising. We don't know. But one thing's for sure, we have to see what plays out, and we'll see what it brings to the situation. And, you know, we'll see what Raw does at that point. But so far, so good. And they've done really well. So at the end of the day, we'll just go from there. So, Anthony, Mike Bullock, I'll give it to you.
Yeah, I thought it was a good segment here to start off this edition of Raw, and yeah, I'm down with this fatal 5-way for to see who's gonna fight Brock Lesnar for the Universal Championship. And I mean, some of the options. I mean, we've already seen Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar, of course, that WrestleMania 31, and then, of course, Brock Lesnar and Seth Rollins. And Florio and I talked about this during our Raw chat. I mean, if we get Brock Lesnar and Samoa Joe for the Universal title, and both he and I agreed on this, that would be probably the best Be a Man fight ever. I mean, you got the physicality of Brock Lesnar and the Samoan submission machine and Samoa Joe, who's also a physical guy. And yeah, I mean, that's something I'm sure Fletcher would be beaming to see, because he is our resident Be a Man guy. And but But there's another match I really like to see. I mean, of course, Brock Lesnar and Finn Balor. Now that would be an intriguing match. So we'll wait and see how it all goes down at Extreme Rules, and love the interaction afterwards. So yeah, so great job all around. So that being said, Twisted Angel, Dee Woodson, come on in. And first off, I gotta say, welcome back. We missed you here at on our shows. Definitely wasn't the same without you. And good to hear everything's going well with the family. And so, with that being said, give us your thoughts on the opening segment.
It's definitely good to be back. Things are on the mends here. Not 100% yet, but getting there. For those that don't know, my 16-year-old daughter went in for surgery, and so that's what we're currently hoping that she has a full recovery from. Although it wasn't as bad as they thought it was still very life-threatening. So by the grace of God, things are getting better. She's getting stronger every day. So thank the Lord for that. As for our opening segment, I would agree, to saying that this was the segment of the night. It was definitely a story builder. I think Raw finally is taking a page out of SmackDown, finally listening to people like us who keep telling them that they need to work on their storylines, and I think they're finally starting to do it. And this is definitely one way of doing it, by building this segment around these 5 individuals to see who's going to end up in that ring with Brock Lesnar. I guess out of the 5 here, the only 2 that I really would not want to see with Brock would be Seth or Roman. But Balor, Joe, or Bray, any one of those 3 would make one heck of a fight. But in my opinion, I think Balor probably deserves it more than anybody, since he did not technically lose the title. He had to forfeit it due to the injury. But like I said, any one of those 3, I think, would make probably the best match with Brock, and really catch the attention of the crowd. So that's about all I'm going to say about that. So let's move on.
All right, and we move on to our first match of the evening, a one-on-one match. Of course, as we all know, at Extreme Rules, we are going to see the rematch from Payback for the Raw Tag Team Championship. The Broken Hardys to defend against Sheamus and Cesaro. Well, we got a little sample of what that match will be like in the form of a one-on-one match. We had Brother Nero, Jeff Hardy, accompanied by his brother Broken Matt Hardy. Then he went up against Sheamus along with his partner Cesaro. Winner of the match in 8.5 minutes. It was Brother Nero. It was Jeff Hardy who picks up the win with the Swanton Bomb. You know what happens when we get to celebrate a Hardy win tonight. But we're going to save that for a little bit. But first, Brother MF, your thoughts on Jeff Hardy deleting this obsolete mule tonight?
He fade away and classify himself as obsolete.
Obsolete! Yes!
This was a good victory for Jeff Hardy. Good momentum going into the pay-per-view that's in a few weeks. Remember, SmackDown is next. Then Raw gets their say at Extreme Rules. So definitely a good victory for Jeff Hardy. They need the momentum. He needs the momentum after what Sheamus and Cesaro did a couple of weeks ago. Stabbed them in the back. Made them look like obsolete mules on that night. But no, definitely good victory for Jeff Hardy. I'm gonna say this was about 2.5 stars. I think it was a solid fight. Now you're going to probably see the other side. You're going to see Broken Matt and Cesaro go at it. And then Once that goes down, then we're going to get the ultimate payoff, which is the tag team fight for the tag team titles. So, no, good victory, good win. Michael Bullock, I give it to you.
Yeah, I agree. It's to me, it's a two to 2.5 star rating for the match. I mean, good win for Jeff Hardy. I mean, you want to give the Hardys an advantage going into that tag team title match at the Raw exclusive pay-per-view Extreme Rules. So yeah, so there's really nothing more for me to say. So 2 to 2.5 stars. So Twisted Angel, Dee Woodson, I give it to you.
I'd agree with the rating. Not going to say too much more on that, so we'll just move on.
Well, I'm going to tweak it a little bit. I'm going to give it 2 3/4 stars for my rating. Good television match and a really lively crowd. They gasped at the Sheamus knee to Jeff's head and were hot for Jeff's signature spots. There were also fans holding up delete section signs. And there was an awkward spot as Sheamus tried to bro kick Matt off the apron, but the kick came up short. Sheamus simply threw the kick again and knocked Matt into the arms of Cesaro, and then they went to the finish. Can you blame Sheamus if he's a little leery of laying in kicks right now, given what happened to Jeff? So it was an appetizer, as these teams will face off again at Extreme Rules. Pretty good match overall. It did lose some steam with the shenanigans involving Matt and Cesaro, but added some heat to the rematch as the Hardys overcame again. So, I mean, that's really all you can say on that. And, there's only one thing left to say on this, and that is, and Brother Bullock, you know where I'm going with this. You know what happens when we get to celebrate a Hardy win now, don't we? You know what happens?
Brother Florio.
Are you ready?
I am ready.
Saute green beans!
Saute green beans for everyone. Yes.
Green beans for everyone. Sauteed style, baby. Right there. That's how you celebrate a broken Hardy victory, ain't I right? So that's how we do it around here. We had our little song number from MF, so that's all I can say on that. So 2 3/4 stars, one of my top fights of the night for sure. And well, with that being said, we're going to move on to our next match, which was a return match from last week. Women's match. We had Sasha Banks squaring off against Alicia Fox. Now I'm going to leave it up to my panel here. Do we want to get into this, or do we want to cut this out? Completely up to you guys.
I'm not in any mood to be talking about this one. I would probably go off on somebody tonight.
Fair enough. So MF speaking for the panel, that's got to be a cutout here. So when we have cutouts, I'll just give it a whirl since this is the Raw show. Yeah, it's no rating to a dud. It was a solid match with Fox picking up the surprising win, which could play into the long rumored Sasha Banks heel turns. So we'll see what happens with that. So we're just gonna move on, and I know we're gonna want to get into this. Of course, we're gonna get into this. This was the lone match that was advertised a week in advance, and we got it right here and there. The Intercontinental Heavyweight Championship on the line. Champion Dean Ambrose defending the title against challenger and former champion The Miz, of course, with the beautiful Maryse in his corner as always. Winner of the match in 12 minutes and 12 seconds via a disqualification. It is The Miz. Dean Ambrose intentionally getting himself disqualified with a blatant low blow right in front of referee Rod Zapata. So, and it was announced later in the night during a backstage segment that they will meet again at Extreme Rules, with the stipulation being if Dean Ambrose gets disqualified, he will lose the Intercontinental Heavyweight Championship. So that's all I can say on that. So Michael Bullock, you started off here. So your thoughts on what was shaping up to be a very good Intercontinental title match. Unfortunately, we had a cop-out finish. So Michael Bullock, your thoughts on this?
And because of that cop-out finish, I'm gonna have to only give it about 2.5 stars as my rating on the match. I mean, I was gonna give it 3 maybe even 3 1/4, but the disqualification, the overbooked finish really took it away. I mean, it was a good match. I'll definitely say that, but it's just that finish that it really rubbed me the wrong way. So, yeah, and of course it was announced. It was announced that these two will meet again at Extreme Rules for the Intercontinental Championship. But here's the catch: if excuse me, if Dean Ambrose gets disqualified again, this time he will lose the Intercontinental Championship. So Dean Ambrose won't be able to weasel his way out of this one this time. So yeah, there's really nothing more for me to say. So Didi Woodson, I give it to you. 2.5 stars is my rating.
It was a pretty good match. But yeah, I don't really like DQ finishes, and I'm gonna go a little higher. I'll give it 3 stars, but it was still a pretty good match, to say the least. Definitely going to be interesting to see the match in the future with these two and how it turns out. With it being where Dean could lose his title on a DQ, so it's about all I'm going to say about it. So it's yours, Florio.
I'm actually gonna go a smidgen higher than you, Didi Woodson. 3 1/4 stars. It was the second best fight of the night for me. It was going really well until the anticlimactic finish, which of course, as we all know, will now leads to a stipulation match at Extreme Rules. Really good effort from both, which is somewhat surprising because after a long international tour, the guys are usually spent, but they were busting ass here big time, which makes me look forward to the rematch. Because with the smoke and mirrors of a stipulation and a clean finish, they could really deliver. So, and it was a very good match that breathed some life into this repeat feud. So there you go. Extreme Rules, they will meet again. If Ambrose gets DQ'd, he loses the belt. So we'll see how that plays out. But for this was 3 1/4 stars. It was my second best fight of the night. Thoughts on this Intercontinental title match? We've seen it before on SmackDown Live. How did they do it on Raw this time around with it?
Well, no, they did very good. They definitely try to bring that passion, that fire that they did in the past, and they did a very good job for the most part. My disappointment was the DQ finish. Like everybody else, I think a lot of people were just a little put off by that, and just the way that Ambrose really, he was very heel-like at the ending. I was a little surprised. I was stunned. Definitely did not see that coming. Definitely got caught off guard with that. At the end of the day, yeah, I agree. This was a bad finish, but I will give it 3 stars. I thought it was a very good match. I loved everything going into it until the end. So nothing more to say. Anthony, let's move on.
And move on, we will, and we move on to an in-ring segment with the Raw Women's Champion Alexa Bliss, interrupted by Bayley, and Bayley has invoked her rematch clause, and it will go down at Extreme Rules. And it was also announced that later in the evening, during another backstage segment, Kurt Angle made the announcement that this will be an Extreme stipulation match. Alexa Bliss and Bayley will meet for the Raw Women's Championship in a kendo stick on a pole match. Okay, so I think it's only fitting we have Didi Woodson start this off because she is our women's wrestling expert here. So Didi, your thoughts on this segment here with Alexa Bliss and Bayley, and maybe if you want to give an early thought on this kendo stick on a pole match at Extreme Rules.
Very interesting segment. I don't even know where to begin. I know Alexa herself pretty much being the same little biatch she's always been. Um, but she's proclaiming pretty much um, how she's could have won the Miss Universe pageant if she would have gone into that, and then she kind of gives this little thing to Miss DC, like you need to be thanking me for that type thing. Um, and then giving herself the self-proclaimed title of Goddess of WWE, which I don't know if anybody else would agree, but I think that's going a bit overboard. But that's just me. Of course, Bailey coming out and giving her 2 cents, but of course Alexa, cutting her down even more, and then we get to now the when they get going here, this kendo stick coming out to prove how extreme Alexa can be, and that Bailey's not that extreme and all that stuff. And you get to the backstage segment where Angle says that he's going to make this match. So yeah, I think it's going to be a pretty good match. I don't see Bailey, reclaiming the title though. But I do think it's going to be a fairly good match. Seeing the two girls go at it to see who's going to get to that kendo stick first, so that they can use it. And then, of course, once the kendo stick's in play, it doesn't matter who uses it. But I can guarantee you, whoever in the end has it to win, I mean, they're both going to be hurting at the end. So it's not going to matter who wins the title as far as it goes with the punishment. They're both going to put their body in. But like I said, I still see Alexa pretty much kind of coming out in the end with the title in this match. So I'll toss it over to you, Florio.
Second best segment of the night for me, Dee Dee Whitson, and I agree. It was a solid segment to set up the title rematch at Extreme Rules. Alexa Bliss is so good on the mic and always plays well to her character, while Bailey continues to struggle and feel like she has no confidence on the mic. And that segment was proof that one weapon shot can be more than enough if the recipient sells it well enough. And what a shot by Alexa Bliss with that kendo stick right to the back of Bailey, which made the commentary team go nuts. They did a whoa moment like MF and I would do back in the day. I mean, we would have one of those moments where we would yell out whoa at the same time. I mean, in stereo. So and MF, you know where I'm going with that. I mean, how many times have we done that over the years? So that's all I can say there. And I'm also going to make one other statement right here and now. I told Bullock this during our Raw chat, and I'm going to say it again here and now. I'm going to tell you what I told Bullock earlier during our Raw chat, and that is, honest to goodness, right now, Alexa Bliss is the best thing going in the women's division right here and now. The mic work, the facial expressions, just everything else. She is the best heel right now. I can honestly say she's an even better heel than Charlotte Flair ever was. And go figure. I'm a Charlotte mark. Go figure. But Alexa Bliss, man, she just continues to be that biatchy heel. And
if you ask Charlotte that, she probably would say, that's debatable.
Probably would. And I don't care. I'll go toe-to-toe with anybody. I don't care. So that's all I can say on that. And besides, Charlotte Flair is right now a tweener right now, and it's obvious they're going to be turning her baby face soon enough because of that thing with the Sweet Valley High Mean Girls. But we'll get into that tomorrow night. We're not doing that nonsense here. So, man, oh, man. But, well, like I said, Alexa Bliss, best thing going in the women's division right now. And I can see why they decided to give her the history-making moment of becoming the first woman to win both the SmackDown Live and Raw Women's Championships and not Charlotte Flair. So, but don't worry, that'll happen soon enough, I think. So, kendo stick on a pole match? Well, insert your Vince Russo jokes here. I mean, because many felt that was one of the demises of WCW, those stupid insert blank on a pole match. So, which was the butt of many jokes over the years. So, but a kendo stick on a pole match, my guess is the first one who gets to it gets to use it. So, that'll conjure up some memories of that infamous nightstick match at the '92 Survivor Series with the late Big Boss Man and Nails. So. Maybe that's how the stipulation will go. I don't know. We'll see. But all I know is that you just made one heck of an interesting match. I mean, I'm glad they didn't go with the tables because we've already seen the lady table match before when Alexa Bliss beat Becky Lynch last December at TLC to become the SmackDown Women's Champion the first time. So I'm glad they're doing something different here. So kendo stick on a pole match. It's unorthodox. It might not be the most attractive option, but hey, at least we get an extreme option, and I can't wait to see how it all goes down. So, and I agree with I also agree with Dee Dee's sentiment. My early projection is Alexa Bliss will keep the belt. She's the hottest thing going in that women's division. Why end it now? So, second best segment of the night for me. So, MF, I mean, you got to be kicking yourself right now that Alexa Bliss is no longer dominating SmackDown Live, and now she's the queen bee of Raw. What a loss for you boys.
Yeah, but the thing is that the superstar shakeup. That was, we kind of, once I realized that Alexa went to the red side, yeah, that hurt. I mean, I was furious with that one. You heard how pissed off I was, so you know my reaction to it. And she has not only gotten better, she is even stronger than ever before. I mean, Dee Dee Woodson said that made the claim or made the statement about the debatable thing that she's the goddess of wrestling right now. Well, let me tell you, there's quite a few people on the IWC that actually agrees that she is the goddess of professional wrestling right now. And I'll say it like this: what she has done in one calendar year already by capturing both the SmackDown and Raw Women's Championships, I've already said it right now. Alexa Bliss is my female wrestler of the year. Hands down, no arguments, no debates. She is the wrestler of the year for the women's division.
I want to clarify something right here. I'm not saying that she's not worthy of being a title holder, that she's not very good at her talent. I'm just debating the name.
Well, no.
That's the only thing. Yes,
No, fair enough. But I'm just saying that.
Yes, she's probably the best on Raw right now, and yeah, I would definitely say she's the better heel out of her and Charlotte. I would agree on that. I just debate that name because there's, you've already got two queens over on SmackDown. And now you've got one calling herself the goddess, and
no, fair enough. But I'm just saying that there are people out there that agrees that would agree with her statement that she is the goddess of professional wrestling right now. Now, I'm not trying to stir the pot or cause any trouble, and I know what you're talking about. I especially know where you're going with that, because when somebody calls themselves a god or a goddess, there's a lot more than just wrestling or anything else. You're more. It's like Anthony, the man of good faith. You're going. It's more than just the realm of professional wrestling,
right?
Which I agree with, and I know what you're talking about. But I'm just saying that there are fans out there, especially the IWC, that would agree with that assessment of Alexa. Now, is it fair or unfair? That's a story for another day and another discussion. But as far as right now, that's where I'm trying to say. And this is just people that, maybe, okay, how can I say this without getting myself in trouble now? I think it's when you got people who are very, okay, and I got to really choose my words here. I really got to choose my words. I'm going to say it like this. There's people that are very close to their fate, meaning that, Anthony, you always talk about that they go to Bible study every day, that they go to, the masses and everything else on the weekends, and they're really rich in that faith. And I know a few people that do. And then you got the ones who are like kind of I don't want to call them non-believers, but they like they believe it enough, but they don't really go too deep into it. Maybe they don't read the Bible, not like on an everyday basis. It's kind of one of those. And I know where Dee Dee Woodson's going, because when you classify yourself as a god or a goddess, you think that you're the greatest thing ever. And normally, I mean, okay, but there's an old saying that there's heroes and then there's legends. Heroes are remembered, but legends never die. Then you got icons in the industry. Now, Alexa's really young, and she's just getting started. Could she become a legend, an icon, that story of greatest of all time? That could definitely happen. I mean, for her to say that she's done so much in this little time that she deserves that goddess, okay, maybe you do in certain lights. And I think that's where Dee Dee's going, because I know what she meant by the goddess thing and the whole 9 yards. I definitely get it, because, like I said, her faith and what she believes in is that there's nothing more powerful than what I like to call El Jefe, because he's the one that pretty much rules everything. I know Anthony will agree with that. I know Dee Dee, you'll agree with that. There's only one person that rules over all of us, and that's the big man upstairs. So I get it where Dee Dee's coming from, but like I said, a lot of fans believe that she is at that level. Now, I think the wording could be different, absolutely, and I get that, but at least for at the times and where we are, I mean, she could have said, that she's the best thing right now on either roster, or, that she is, she's going to go down as the greatest ever. I don't think there's going to be any debate with that. I understand where Dee Dee's debate goes when she called herself the goddess of wrestling. I get that. I understand that. I'm not going to... I understand where she's coming from, but like I said, the wording could be different, but I agree with the sentiment. I agree where what Alexa was trying to imply. I think that's the best way I can say that. I don't know if Dee Dee's going to agree with me on that or not, but that's how I feel. That, yes, she is the best on Raw. She is the best on SmackDown. She is flat out, straight up, hands down, the best female wrestler in all professional wrestling right now. Better than any women on NXT, including Asuka. And if you want to debate me on that, go right ahead. Better than any woman on Ring of Honor with the Women of Honor. Better than any women on TNA's roster, she is right now the #1 female wrestler in the world today. And a statement and a quotation, period. As far as that fight goes, I understand why they want to do it, but I think it's the most safest match for the women. I understand you did the Hell in a Cell, and that was huge. You've done steel cage fights, that was huge. To do a Singapore cane fight on a pole, I get it. Kendo stick. You know what? Screw you. Singapore cane. That's the true terminology. That kendo stick garbage, get that out of here, all right? I'm going to go ECW days. That's a Singapore cane on a pole. And anybody who wants to fight me on that, be my guest. So, Singapore cane on a pole, that's the match that it really is, not kendo stick. That's the PG version of it. Let's get ECW with this. This is Extreme Rules? Yeah. We're taking it to the extreme. Welcome to my house, people. So, Michael Bullock, it's yours.
Bullock, are you with us? I think we might have lost him. So, all right. We're just going to have to move on. Hopefully he'll be back in with us soon enough. Now we're going to move on to our next match, which was a cruiserweight tag team match. And believe it or not, this was our only cruiserweight match of the night. We usually get 2 of these, but no, we only got 1, and what a 1 match it was. Tag team match. We had the cruiserweight champion Adrian Neville teaming up with TJP, and they went up against Austin Aries and Jack Gallagher. Winners of the match in 9 minutes, Adrian Neville and TJP. TJP with the detonation kick on Jack Gallagher for the win. So I'll start this off here. Another 2 3/4 star match. Pretty good match overall, but it felt rushed and like they were just scratching the surface. They needed more time, which is again why I wish this would have main evented a future 205 Live instead of taking place on Monday Night Raw. I have enjoyed Aries and Gallagher joining forces to fight off Neville and his evil protege. And WWE has to realize just how damaging the set change for the cruiserweight matches has become. The purple ropes and other cosmetic changes just scream second rate due to the sad state of the division, even though it's been getting better. It might be different if the division got off to a hot start on Raw and 205 Live, but the creative for the division has been lackluster and uninspired. So just seeing the graphics and cosmetic changes brings the mood of the show down for this viewer here. It's a shame because I really like all 4 guys who are in this match, but I just didn't care about the outcome, and it seemed like many in the crowd weren't interested either. So, but it was a fine match, though. I'll say it like that. But that's just a little mini rant. But and it was announced that at Extreme Rules, we're gonna get it one more time. Adrian Neville and Austin Aries 1-on-1 for the Cruiserweight Championship. And WWE, I know you're high on Neville, I get it, but please put it on Aries. That's all I can say. Let Aries have his moment. That's all I can say. I mean, Neville's had a great run since winning it at the Rumble from Rich Swann and all that, but I think this is where Aries will finally get his moment here. I hope and pray for that. So, because otherwise, I don't know what else to tell you. So, that's all there is to say on that for me. So, 2 3/4 stars. So MF, this tag team cruiserweight match. We both liked all 4 guys in these matches. It's just that the match, could have been so much better.
Absolutely, I agree with that. I wish it was a little better. I think it would have been better, but at the end of the day, we got what we got, and there's no argument from here. So yeah, no, absolutely. 2 1/4 stars is the right rating for me. Like you said, we wish that it could be better, but it is what it is. So nothing more to say. Anthony, let's just move on.
And it was also announced that.
Oh, what about me?
Oh, there you are, Bullock. I thought we lost you for a minute. All right.
No, I'm right here.
Okay. Well, you gotta just do a little bit of catch up here.
Yeah, regarding the segment with Alexa Bliss and Bailey.
Yep, Alexa Bliss and Bailey and the Cruiserweight Tag Team match. So your thoughts on both of those?
Yeah, I mean the segment with Alexa Bliss and Bailey, that was the second best segment of the night. I mean, basically, Alexa Bliss. I mean, and I gotta agree. I mean, she is the best woman in the entire division, in the entire women's division, whether it's Raw or SmackDown, or SmackDown Live, I should say. And yeah, I mean, she basically questioned Bailey's toughness, basically with that kendo stick. I mean, my gosh. And now it's a rematch for the Raw Women's Championship in a kendo stick on a pole match. So very interesting. But I do agree, Alexa Bliss is going to retain the title. So yeah. So as far as the cruiserweight match goes, I'll give it 2.5 stars. I mean, it could have been better, but you know, it is what it is. So nothing else to say. Now, Floria, let's move on.
Yep, and I was gonna say it was announced that tomorrow night on 205 Live, Austin Aries and TJP will go 1-on-1. So it's been done. So that's all I can say. I mean, I wish we could have just had the tag team match as the main event. So, but don't worry, I know they'll get to it at some point. So, and then of course that's when they would go on to announce that Singapore Kane on a pole match, like MF would say. And then we move on to a really good main event. And well, this was the first of 2 huge main events. Well, 3 if you count the Intercontinental match. But here's another great main event. And this was a rematch 10 months in the making. Finn Balor, 1-on-1 with Roman Reigns. You remember they met on that very first Monday Night Raw after the brand extension last summer in Pittsburgh. And what a match that was, where Roman Reigns, or I should say Finn Balor, defeated Roman Reigns to earn entry into that inaugural Universal title match with Rollins at SummerSlam last year. But we get the rematch here, Roman Reigns and Finn Balor. The winner of the match in 14.5 minutes, the big dog, Roman Reigns. He gets the payback, 10 months in the making. A spear hits his spear for the win. 14 minutes and 30 seconds to 14 minutes and 40 seconds. But nonetheless, it's Roman Reigns who picks up the win. So MF, lucky you, man. You get to lead off on what was one hell of a co-main event tonight.
Yeah, man, this was unbelievable. Oh my God, what a match. Epicness. Nothing more to say. Balor made Roman look good in this fight tonight. No doubt about it in my mind. This was as good as advertised. This was as solid as advertised. And no, for me, congratulations, Roman Reigns. You get a big win. Balor, hey, nothing to hang your head on. Tough luck loss, but dude, you guys gave us the fight of the night in my eyes. This was at least 3.5 to almost 4 stars. I mean, that is incredible how this fight went down. At the end of the day, give it up for Roman Reigns. Good win for him. I know a lot of people are going to be like, oh, Roman Reigns. Yeah, well, you got to deal with them, boys. You got to deal with them. So Roman wins. Good victory. Bullock, it's yours, my friend.
What did you give it, Fletch?
3.5 to 4.
Yeah, I agree with the rating. 3.5 to 4 stars. I mean, I really enjoyed this match. I mean, it was a match 10 months in the making, and Roman gets the win here, and he gets the win back from the very first Raw since the first Raw after the draft. So yeah, say what you want about Roman Reigns, but hey, he gets the win here, so and you just got to deal with it. So T.D. Woodson, I give it to you.
I'd agree with the rating. It was a very good match. Really enjoyed it, but I'm not going to say too much more on it because you guys are pretty much touching it all. So toss it to Florio.
Well, I'm gonna meet the rating in the middle here. 3 3/4 stars is my rating. I do agree it was the fight of the night. This was a very good match. They work really well together and play off of the size dynamic very well. They are 1-1, and WWE should really save the rubber match for a pay-per-view down the line. I was kind of hoping Balor would win so that he could be a guy that Reigns would have to overcome later on. But with Reigns losing to Strowman at the last pay-per-view, I understand him winning here. And I also understand that, they obviously wanted to give him the win back from that very good match they had 10 months ago. And the way the broadcast team built in every excuse in the book for Reigns to the point that I naturally assumed that Balor was going to win. And while I don't mind being surprised rather than having a finish telegraphed, they went so far with the excuses for Reigns that the story told was that a wounded Reigns pinned a fully healthy Balor in a good match. So 3 3/4 stars, no question about it. And now Roman Reigns, of course, is now the most hated man in the IWC. He's already committed two very serious offenses over the last month. First, he retires The Undertaker at WrestleMania. That got the IWC livid. And if that wasn't enough to drive the IWC mad, Roman Reigns just put our newest meal ticket, Braun Strowman, on the injured list for the next 6 months. If that doesn't get him, if he's not the most hated man in the IWC now, I don't know who is.
He actually pulled the hat trick, and he also just beat Finn Balor tonight.
Oh, that's right. Yes, a Finn Balor
Hat trick,
darling. Yep, it is a natural hat trick for Roman Reigns. Retires The Undertaker at WrestleMania, puts Braun Strowman on the injured list, and defeats one of the IWC's golden boys in Finn Balor. So, oh yeah, Roman Reigns is definitely I think he's even more hated than John Cena ever was. So, and I thought John Cena was the most hated man in the IWC, but oh no, it's all Roman now. He's succeeded him. All right, so now this is a cutout segment here, but I'm gonna personally address this. Apparently, we were supposed to have a tag team match with the Golden Truth squaring off against Carl Anderson and Luke Gallows. The Golden Truth do their little shtick, all that what's up nonsense. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, we get a heel turn. Goldust. Goldust absolutely beats the snot out of R-Truth. Whoa. And the fans absolutely ate it up. They loved it. I even heard some thank you Goldust chants during that. So I'm gonna give it a quick thought. I know you guys don't want to get into it, and that's fine. But for me, I have said for a long time that I would love to see the return of the darker and more serious Goldust for one more run. And it's a shame that WWE spent years doing so much comedy nonsense with him rather than make a real attempt to reposition him as a heel. Only time will tell whether this is anything more than an undercard program, but I'm happy to see Goldust do something other than comedy for a change. So well done. Well done. Cutout. That's one of the better cutout segments I can ever remember. So, and besides, it's not like they were doing anything as a team, and I'd actually love to see one last Goldust singles run. And then, of course, we do have and then we follow that up with another cutout segment. We had the Wrestling Forum's favorite tag team, Enzo and Cass. They show up, and of course, it was a homecoming for Enzo Amore because Enzo Amore is born and raised from New Jersey, which is where the show was tonight, and he's from Hackensack, New Jersey. Because I'm not sure how far that is from Newark, which is where they were, but they do their usual shtick, and then Titus O'Neil comes out and he says that, well, Apollo Crews, my new protege, is going to face Enzo Amore tonight. But then Cass says, no. You're going to fight me, big man. And Titus was saying, oh, I got this stuff on. I got this $3,100 suit and $1,200 shoes on. I'm not wrestling this match. And he says, well, too bad, we are. And Big Cass, of course, it was Big Cass, Titus O'Neil. Big Cass wins in 1 minute and 10 seconds with a big foot. Of course, this was the worst thing on the show, far and away. No rating to a dud. Not much there, but it appears that O'Neil and Crews, it could be Big Enzo and Cass against Titus O'Neil and Apollo Crews. because outside of their intro, WWE seemingly has no idea what to do with Enzo and Cass, and this is a damn shame. I mean, here's a tag team that was the most popular tag team in NXT, and they've been wasted. I'm sorry, they've been wasted. I mean, they've had some moments, yes, but they've never been tag team champions, and who knows? They probably will not be. They're not going to be tag team champions anytime soon, especially since we've got the Broken Hardys now running with that, and maybe even Sheamus and Cesaro if they put them if they decide to strap them again at Extreme Rules. But I don't know. It's so sad. I mean, those guys are so fun to watch, and yet they're still and yet they're being treated like a wasted tag team. And I think they're being part of Derek Ferrera's burial club here at this point, having them feud against lower tier tag teams. Grossly unfair in my book. Grossly unfair. They deserve way better than what they're getting. Titus O'Neil and Apollo Crews feud, really? You think that's going to put butts in the seats and put eyes on the screens? Hell no. Absolutely not. Period. And a statement and a quotation. I'm done. So, but now let's get into the main event, what ended up being the main event of the evening. The Architect and the Kingslayer, Seth Rollins, against the Eater of Worlds, Bray Wyatt. First ever singles bout between these two. Winner of the match in 15 and a half minutes via a disqualification. It was Seth Rollins due to outside interference from Samoa Joe, which I'm not surprised happened because I had Joe interfering in this match as it is. And so it was, well, actually, the time of the fall ranges from 14 minutes to 15 and a half minutes, but it was the DQ finish. So, trying to, does anybody remember who leads off here? Because we had all those cutouts. So, oh boy. Yeah. So,
I think what I started off the last thing, so I think it goes off to Bullock. I think Bullock leads.
I was just about to say, I think it's me.
all right.
Yep.
Okay. Fair enough. Appreciate that. So, Michael Bullock, your thoughts on what ended up being the main event of the evening?
Yeah, I'll give it about 3.25 stars as my rating on the match. I mean, I really enjoyed it. The match was, like I said, was really good. But the thing is, I mean, we had another DQ finish. I mean, it could have been a whole lot better, but you pretty much knew that Samoa Joe was going to have something to say in the main event, because you know that Rollins and Joe had some unfinished business, and just when you thought, I mean, Samoa Joe and Bray Wyatt were going to work together, well, Samoa Joe got Sister Abigail as well as Seth Rollins. So so this was definitely a crazy way to end what I thought was a really good edition of Monday Night Raw. So with that being said, Dee Woodson, I give it to you.
Yeah, it was going to be a really good main event until you got the DQ finish, and then like you said, everybody knew Joe was going to come out and interrupt the match. But I'm going to give it a solid 3 just because of the DQ, but you know the match itself before we got Joe involved was going really good. I was really enjoying it. So not much more I have to say about it. So Florio, it's yours.
I'm sorry, I got to go a little lower than that. I can only give this 2.5 stars for me. Solid. It was a solid but flat main event, even before the anticlimactic finish, which I saw coming from a mile away, by the way. The post-match was solid and added to the heat between these three men. It was nice that they actually had the ring announcer deliver the DQ finish announcement. How many times have we seen a match end like that with no official announcement? The crowd seemed focused on the match, but they didn't make much noise until Joe ran out. And they also seemed to like Wyatt hitting his finisher on Joe. So yeah. That's really all I can say there. So 2.5 stars is my rating for this solid but flat main event. So MF, your thoughts on it?
I gotta go right along with Anthony Florio, 2.5 stars. It was a flat main event. It should have been better. Overall, I don't think there's much more to say. So, yeah, overall review.
Time for our overall review, and Didi Whitson, we'll start it off with you because I'm sure you're in a hurry to get out of here. So your thoughts on this Monday Night Raw tonight? Much better than that god awful tape show last week.
Well, I didn't get to see either Raw or SmackDown the last 2 weeks, being up in the hospital and dealing with all that. So I can't make any comments on that, but it's definitely was better than some of the ones that I have seen. So I'm going to go with about 7.5 stars for the out of 10 for the rating, because it was definitely a lot better than it's been. A lot more storyline progression, but you still had the DQ finishes. You still had at least 3 cutouts, but other than that, I mean, it was still a newsworthy show. So props to Raw for finally producing a newsworthy show. So I'll see you guys tomorrow night on Fletcher's channel. So good night, guys.
All right, good night, Edie, and we'll see you tomorrow night for the Cerebral Smack Talk over on MF's channel, Brace Fan 95, and MF will have all the details on that in just a moment. But nonetheless, my overall thoughts on this, that's about right. Between 7 and 7.5, I think Didi hit it right on the hit it right on the nose there. This was an overall very serviceable episode of Raw, changing direction rather well and addressing the Braun Strowman issue while laying a lot of groundwork for Extreme Rules, which was very much appreciated in my book. The good news is that they have plenty of time to get things locked in and improve prior to the pay-per-view. And for some, the 3-hour marathon feeling was there by the end of the night, but definitely an improvement over last week's lethargic, god-awful tape show in England, which was very disappointing considering how that crowd was. That crowd was not as jacked up as they always are, but like I said, 7 to 7.5, serviceable show. And as far as recommendations go, I basically recommend just about everything on the show. The only things that I do not recommend, that I suggest you skip, Sasha Banks and Alicia Fox. That's definitely skippable. Even though it was a interesting segment, the Goldust heel turn on R-Truth, and then that Big Cass and Titus O'Neil, stay far away from that, please, because that you didn't miss anything there, believe me. But other than that, I recommend everything else. I mean, all the other matches were very good. The Finn Balor, Roman Reigns fight of the night, Miz and Ambrose a close second. And then rounding out the top 3, well, a tie for the top 3, Jeff Hardy and Sheamus in the Cruiserweight Tag Team match. And I'd even say give the main event a look, especially the post-match. So, and of course, those 2 in-ring segments as well. The opening segment with Angle and all those guys, and then the women's segment. So well done. 7.5 out of 10. Didi hit it right on the nose. So a very good edition of Monday Night Raw. And MF, SmackDown Live, your show tomorrow night. Go home show for Backlash. You got some work to do.
Yeah, we do have some work to do, but I'm not really worried. I really like where we're going, in the direction that we're going. So no, I got definitely I'm very focused and very optimistic for what I believe is going to happen. So no, I think it'll be another, I'll probably say between 7.5 is what I'm going to give it. Nothing more to say. So yep. So let's just move on. Bullock?
Yep, go ahead.
Oh yeah, yeah. Oh, I was just waiting. I was just waiting. Yeah. So 7.5 out of 10 is my rating. So yeah, you guys pretty much touched on everything from the positives and the negatives. So so there's really nothing more to say. So So, Florio, if you're ready, it's time for your Tony's take.
Yes, sir. Tony's take time indeed. And you know how we do it, 205 Live, Impact Wrestling. And I'll say it like this. One show will get a positive review. The other show, not so much. So I'll leave it at that. So let's start it off with 205 Live, which was in England. It was a taped show. And let's get it going. We had an opening segment. We had a rare in-ring segment on this show. Austin Aries and Jack Gallagher, they shared a pint, and then they were interrupted by Neville and TJP. And fun opening segment, playing well off of the established feuds and likely setting up a tag match for next week's show. Although we actually got that tag match tonight on Monday Night Raw, which was really disappointing, even though it was a good match. We only had 2 matches on this show. First up, we had Mustafa Ali against the premier athlete Tony Nese, and Mustafa Ali wins the match in 10.5 minutes via his insane 450. 3 stars. Good match with Ali picking up the hard-fought win against Gulak's friend ahead of their likely rematch, because, we're definitely on the verge of a Mustafa Ali and Drew Gulak feud down the line. So that's all I can say there. And then the main event of the show, one of the other big feuds in the Cruiserweight division right now, Akira Tozawa and the Brian Kendrick. Akira Tozawa picks up the win in 9 minutes and 45 seconds. By a smidge, this was the fight of the night, 3.25 stars. This was a good match to close out the show, but overall, I was not a big fan of the booking of it. The feud does need to end, and it simply feels as it is dragging on at this point. Tozawa may have won, but with the post-match attack, it's obvious the feud's going to continue. So, overall thoughts, 7 out of 10. I was not a big fan of the previous week's show, but felt that they rebounded well here with a more compact and to-the-point show. The opening segment was fun and played off of those established feuds well. And while the post-main event booking was not ideal, the wrestling was good. Overall, it was a good show. So 7 out of 10, no question about that. So I think you might know where I'm going based on that review. So and it was announced that tomorrow night on 205 Live, we're going to see Austin Aries one-on-one with TJP. So we'll see how that plays out. So now let's move on to Impact Wrestling, and I think you know where I'm going with this. You heard what I said going into this, so you already heard a positive review. Well, this one is not going to be as positive as the other one was. And we started it off with a match again, and I greatly approve of that. Yes, I do. There's no need for windbag segments. So we started it off with a tag team match from the X Division. Andrew Everett it was a 4-way match, rather. It was Andrew Everett versus Desmond Xavier versus Caleb Conley versus Matt Sydal. Winner of the match in 6 minutes and 45 seconds, it was Andrew Everett with the Franken driver on Desmond Xavier. 2 3/4, and I'm going to be real honest with you. Based on the body of work of the card, this was the fight of the night for me, actually, believe it or not. This was a pretty good opener overall with some great energy. They worked the fast-paced, throw everything at the wall style match, but it came across as a bit too disjointed to me and never quite locked into a cohesive flow. If you're going to go out there and just go wild for 6 to 7 minutes, you really need to go all out and make sure it's smooth. The good news is that it was an overall fun way to kick off the show, although the finish feels off after giving Sydal 2 huge wins right off the bat. It will work if they actually follow up on the Everett win. The division has some new faces in life, which I love. I just wish we could get away from all the multi-man matches. Every time they tease breaking away from them, they jump right back in. So that's all I can say on that. So now we have, now we go back to the elongated windbag segment. It was Ethan Carter III mocking Cowboy James Storm in a ridiculous cowboy costume, and then James Storm comes out, and then they had a brawl. And it was announced that on the next Impact Wrestling, these two are going to go one-on-one finally. All right. The first half of this was absolutely horrible. It just didn't work, and the crowd didn't react to it at all. I get what they were trying to do, but it was just no good. The brawl and the beatdown segment, that was well done. EC3's beatdown on Storm was absolutely brutal and respect to Storm for taking that beating with the strap. And it should, in theory, build to a big-time stipulation match between the two. And then we had another tag team match. We had Garza Jr. and the Laredo Kid squaring off against Hakeem Zayn and Idris Abraham. Garza Jr. and Laredo Kid win the match in 3 minutes and 20 seconds. 2-star match. Action was okay, but the layout was completely wrong. I have no idea why Zayn and Abraham got in so much offense. Garza Jr. and Laredo Kid have been previously featured before losing their attempt to win the Impact tag titles. They should have really just ran through all of their cool-looking offense here, winning an easy and quick showcase match. Not everyone has to get their stuff in, especially not guys like Zayn and Abraham, who will be enhancement and explosion workers at best. Then we had a knockouts match. Laurel Van Ness with her bodyguard, Congo Kong. She went up against Ava Story, a.k.a. Brandy Lauren from the Women of Honor. Laurel Van Ness won it in 1 minute and 25 seconds. No rating to a dud. Absolute worst fight of the night. Squash. Enough said. So, and then LAX came out for what they called a funeral for Decay, and then it showed out and then they brought out the Veterans of War, Mayweather and Wilcox. Okay, solid segment here with LAX properly taking credit for the demise of Decay and also giving them a proper write-off. And it also gives us an angle between LAX and the Veterans of War heading into the Global Force Wrestling Tag Team Tournament. And then we had a championship match. This was the Impact Grand Championship on the line. Moose defending against Marche Rocket. Winner of the match via pinfall in the second round. And still the Impact Grand Champion, it's Moose. I'm sorry, this was a 1-star match. It was a great and dominating win for Moose, but Rocket basically got nothing in. They could have at least given him a flurry before the loss. Not good. And then in a backstage segment, Dutch Mantel, a.k.a. Zeb Coulter, he announces that next week we're getting the return of Ultimate X. And I know MF's going to be loving that because I know how much MF loves Ultimate X matches. Trevor Lee, Andrew Everett, and Low Key. 3-way Ultimate X match for the X Division Championship on the next Impact show. I know MF's going to go out of his way to see that. And then we had another knockouts match. It was the Battle of the Wives. Eddie Edwards' wife, Alicia Edwards, squaring off against Davey Richards' wife, Angelina Love. Alicia Edwards actually wins the match via disqualification in 2 minutes and 11 seconds. Another no rating to a dud. Not a good match, but the result makes sense to keep the feud going. And the post-match attack was good, though. And then the main event of the evening for the Global Force Wrestling Heavyweight Championship. The champion Magnus defending against Alberto El Patron. The winner of the match in 14 minutes and 50 seconds. And the new Global Force Wrestling Heavyweight Champion, Alberto El Patron. He wins it with the cross arm breaker. Second best fight of the night, 2.5 stars. Completely lifeless until the final few minutes. But even then, it wasn't like it was so spectacular that it made this a good or must-see bout. For the most part, this completely lacked any real drama or sense of urgency from the guys. They had a chance to impress, but not in my book. They failed to do so. Overall review, 5 out of 10. I felt that the last few weeks were solid to average at worst, but at times the show was good. This show did nothing for me. It felt flat throughout. The wrestling wasn't as good, and it just dragged along for me. Hopefully next week's effort is better. Josh Matthews continues to be horrible at his job, and you just can't take anything he says seriously. He needs to go away in the worst way. What do I recommend from this show? LAX's Funeral for Decay, EC3's beatdown of James Storm, and I'll give you those 2 matches. I'll give you that X match, that 4-way X match to start it, and for the most part, the main event, if you want to take that seriously. So 5 out of 10 for this show. I already gave you 2 things to look out for on the next Impact Wrestling show. Ethan Carter III against Cowboy James Storm, which should be a solid match. And, of course, that Ultimate X match. I mean, that's going to be some pretty good stuff right there. And so here's the rest of the card. We got LAX going up against Garza Jr. and the Laredo Kid in the tag match. Sienna will defend the Global Force Wrestling women's title against ODB. Mayweather and Wilcox will go up against Mario Bokara and Falaba. Congo Kong will go up against Braxton Sutter. And there's going to be an interesting angle now. Jeremy Borash. There's going to be an interesting angle going on here, and and it's going to lead to something at Slammiversary. Then it's going to be that Ultimate X match for the X Division Championship, Low Key versus Andrew Everett and Trevor Lee. And then the main event, Cowboy James Storm will square off against Ethan Carter III. So there's your card for Impact Wrestling coming up on Thursday night on Pop Television, 8 Eastern. So, all right, that'll put the bow on this edition of Ridiculously Raw. We want to thank you all so very much for tuning in. We're going to open it up for our shout-outs here. So, Bullock, MF, whoever wants to first take it, just save me for last so I can set up the feature content.
All right. So special shout out to all of our tremendous fans and viewers out there who continue to support our shows, whether it's the Cerebral Smack Talk, or Strictly Sports. It doesn't matter. We really appreciate it. Of course, shout outs to our super fans. You guys know who you are. And then, of course, to our friends from our high school days, you guys know who you are. So, so that's it. So until tomorrow night for the Cerebral Smack Talk, this is the Phenom Mike Bullock saying thank you all so very much for tuning in. Of course, you know the routine. Thumbs up. Talk to you later. Yeah, throw it up, Fortune 4 style. Bye for now. Enjoy the rest of your night, everyone. Watcha. I give it to you.
All right. First off, I want to say thank you to all the great fans out there. You guys are the best fans in the world. Then, of course, I also want to give a lot of love to my friends in the junior high and high school days, super fans, 2184 crew. Love you guys to death. Cerebral Smack Talk. We got SmackDown Live, and I finally got a Mikey's Mindset. Yes, there was some Ring of Honor stuff that happened this past week in a big pay-per-view event, iPay-per-view event. I'll give you all the details on that. And on top of that, I got some RWA news, guys. The RWA is back. Perseverance is going down this Saturday night from the new, this Friday night from the new Chop Shop in Pawtucket, Rhode Island. And I got the card. I'll give you all details. 10:30 Eastern. Please note the start time. 10:30 Eastern on Braves Fan 95. Until then, you know the routine. Hug the hand pounds. I'm out. Good night. Anthony, take it home.
All right, we'll do, MF. And special shout out to all of our viewers out there who continue to make our shows as over as they are. We appreciate it as always. You are the best fans in the world. Of course, special shout out to the returning Twisted Angel Dee Dee Woodson. So great to have her back with us tonight after having to miss the show the last 2 weeks. I'm so glad that everything worked out for her and her family. Praise God for that. Of course, special shout outs to our other super fans, Matt Ward, Jason Hicksonbaugh, Daniel Luttrell from the UK, our other first ladies, Kaiser Butler, Megan Silva, and Lexi Calloway. And of course, our other crew members, Tommy Souza, Eric Carrier, Jimmy Alden, Al Bradison, and Rob Parsons, and of course the man himself, the man who puts it all together, the hardcore pipe bomb himself, Derek Ferreira, and that's it. I'll save the rest of my shout outs for Friday night. So let's run it down. Future content, of course, like MF just mentioned, 10:30 tomorrow night. We got another all new edition of the Cerebral Smack Talk over on his channel, Braves Fan 95. Where we will review SmackDown Live. 2 matches announced for SmackDown Live tomorrow night. The phenomenal AJ Styles will go one-on-one with the number 1 contender for the WWE Championship, Jinder Mahal. And then from there, the WWE Champion, Randy Orton, will go one-on-one with the Lone Wolf, Baron Corbin. So 2 very interesting matches that will go down tomorrow night on SmackDown Live from Manchester, New Hampshire. And then, of course, MF will also have his Mikey's Mindset for the first time in a while. Praise God. I'm glad to hear that. So, and that's it for that. And then, of course, after that, from there, we'll be with you Friday night. Same time, 10:30, right back here on the Tone 25 for Strictly Sports. And yes, that will be Strictly Sports this time. Like I said, I do apologize for that little title goof in my setup here. But nonetheless, we have the docket. Derek posted it a few hours ago. So, here's what we're going to get into Friday night on Strictly Sports. Aaron Hernandez, his charges vacated. Major League Baseball reporting that New York Mets closer Uris Familia is on the disabled list due to a blood clot. Bryce Harper signing a $23 million extension for 2018 to stay with the Washington Nationals. And then MF will give us his complete recap of UFC 211. And he'll also give his early thoughts on John Bones Jones squaring off against Daniel Cormier on July 29th. And then to close it out, of course, will be our newest installment of the Major League Baseball Power Rankings. And this weekend, we got Backlash. I don't know what the plan is for the preview show as far as that's concerned, but I do know we'll have the recap show Sunday night. That I know for a fact. But we'll have to work out the details about the preview show. But I know we'll get to that eventually. So, all right. So that'll do it for this. So until tomorrow night for the Cerebral Smack Talk over on MF channel, Braves Fan 95. It's the ridiculously over gentleman, Anthony Florio here. For good old MF, Michael Fletcher. For the Phenom, Michael Bullock. And in spirit, the Twisted Angel and First Lady of the Wrestling Forum, Didi Woodson, and the Hardcore Pipe, I'm Derek Ferreira. You know the routine, everybody. Thumbs up. Talk to you later. Yeah, throw it up Fortune 4 style. Bye for now, my friends. God bless. Be good to each other. Have a blessed Tuesday. And until tomorrow night for the Cerebral Smack Talk, you've been watching Ridiculously Raw right here on the Tone 25 on YouTube.com. And remember, no matter what anyone tells you, wrestling is indeed actually real. Good night, everybody.